Love this podcast? Support it and sponsor today. Simply head to ozcastnetwork.com for details.
Welcome to Hong Kong Confidential. I'm Jules Hannaford and I'm your host. I'm an Australian woman and I've been living in Hong Kong for many years. I'm a mother, a teacher, an author, and I want to share my wisdom and the wisdom of others with you. Thanks for joining me and I hope you enjoy the show.
You meet someone online and there's this instant connection. It's amazing how much the two of you just seem to click. They live somewhere far away and there's some plausible reason they can't travel to meet you. They tell you they're in love with you and you feel optimistic for the first time in a long time. They have a successful career, yet somehow they need money from you to solve a short-term problem, always with the promise of paying you back. Time goes on and they need more money more urgently. You've started to see the cracks and begin to wonder whether they've been lying this whole time. All of a sudden it hits you. You've been scammed. Fool Me Twice is the story of my mother, Jules Hannaford, a woman who was drawn into the dangerous world of sweetheart scams. After a trip overseas to meet a stranger, a dangerous altercation in a Manchester hotel room, and thousands of pounds lost for good, she's here to tell her story. Fool Me Twice, a true crime podcast, is available on Apple Podcasts, Ozcast Network, and anywhere you listen to your podcasts.
Today I'm here with Odette Umali. Hi Odette, thank you for joining me today.
Hello. Hi, Jules.
Odette, how did Gordon Parenting begin? What's the company history?
Well, Gordon Parenting is a marriage of my two passions, parenting and training. I was a corporate trainer for more than a decade, and I managed to train 3,000 professionals. I've been a mother for more than 20 years to my daughter and my son. And throughout the years, I have tried to find a balance between a professional trainer and also being a mother, an effective mother. But Gordon Parenting, I would say the two are finally perfectly aligned. We started in 2016. From then on, we managed to, organize about 50 parenting courses, train and certified P.E.T instructors in Hong Kong. We have right now active 13 instructors from different backgrounds. We develop educational programs for NGOs who have parents who don't have the access to formal training. We also develop to international schools and organizations. I would say also one of the major achievements is we translated the P.E.T to Cantonese in terms of using the P.E.T handbook and also workbook. We also were able to be recognized by Macau University of Science and Technology as part of their college course.
Wow, that's great. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you. With the help of the team, of course.
That's brilliant. Odette, you mentioned P.E.T. What is it and how does it work?
Well, parent effectiveness training is a communication system developed by Nobel Peace Prize nominee Dr. Thomas Gordon. He developed it in his practice of being a clinical psychologist in the 1960s. To simplify it, I would say it starts from understanding self from inside out. Afterwards, you will learn the skills and strategies in the course, so you have a mind shift about analyzing how I see the world as a parent and how can I make sure that all these skills that I apply in order to be an effective parent are relevant in the current time.
It says on your website that P.E.T training is backed in science and it's a global program. How is that so?
Backed by science because Thomas Gordon, as a clinical psychologist, was able to design a training course using similar tools and skills in clinical psychology. Because Thomas Gordon aims that parents are able to coach their children at home, being able to communicate effectively when there are conflicts, and also a communication system that recognizes the developmental stages of the child, where you speak to your children who are pre-verbal kids who may not be able to answer you back, but your way of communicating to them is still warm, respectful, and connecting. Or when you active listen also the preteens and teenagers, that you can tune into their needs. That's one basis of why it's scientific. Another thing is there are academic papers and studies that show the effectivity of the different skills taught in PET. Studies in Netherlands, in Finland, Germany, in the US. That's why it's recognized in 54 countries.
Oh, that's so interesting. You talk about a family-centric approach. What does that mean?
Basically focus on the needs of all the members. When you come up with actions and solutions when there are conflicts, you try to understand the need of your child and also your needs so that everyone will have this approach to go through a democratic approach process where everyone's needs are met so everyone's happy.
Does that mean you're working with the whole family, or do you just work with one parent or whatever parent's doing your course, but you consider the needs of everybody?
We work with the parents. That's why it's parent effectiveness training. Really give responsibility to the parents to take the lead in modeling healthy communication skills in their children. We also work with educators, with the counselors, so that they can bring this healthy communication system to the organization, to their school, so that they can also share this with their teachers and how to influence the parents in their respective schools.
Oh, fantastic. That's really cool. Which countries are the focus of your company?
We focus in 3 areas: Macau, Hong Kong, and Philippines. We do have existing representatives in other Asian countries. Really glad that now Hong Kong is part of the PET global community.
Oh, that's lovely. And what type of people generally seek your support? What type of parents generally?
Parents who are doing well, I would say successful parents who want to get better in their role. That's one type of parent. Parents who have problems with their kids, such as kids who are addicted to screens or kids who need some support for their homework and studies. We also have single parents who would like to have custody of their children, who would like to be able to prove to the court that they are effective parents. We also have preteens or parents who have teens realizing that there are additional skills that they need to integrate with their own existing skill set because what they used to do with their children are not anymore effective. We do have varied types of parents. Parents who are they're about to start school. They also like to be able to be supportive to the developmental stage of their child. Quite varied types, ranges of parents. We
Oh, that's
compromise
great.
also. Yeah.
You can really just help anybody who comes to see you.
Yes.
What are the most common issues that parents need help with when it comes to parenting?
Most common issues that parents have to deal with are based on unacceptable behaviors. It is different for different stages. For younger kids, there are issues on tantruming, hitting, sibling fight, whining. Preteens to teens, issues like screen time, sleeping time, study habits, conflict with parents. And we do have parents coming in where their kids are in college or even after college because the kids are still living with them. So they have concerns on financial issues, concerns about relationship with their boyfriend, girlfriend. They have also issues about how are they going to be self-reliant? How can we influence our kids to be self-reliant instead of just depending on our own wealth?
What are healthy communication skills and why are they important in families, do you think?
First, what is healthy communication skills in PET? In PET, we say healthy communication skills means we're being non-judgmental to our children. When the child feels being listened to, at the same time, the parents feels they're being listened to. There is genuineness and there's trust. It's important that we have these healthy communication skills because it is very useful in whole range of different situations. When you experience your views, your values to your children, how do you say it? Perhaps you choose the right time. You're having a good dinner and you're having a discussion about something and you could say to your child, I really appreciate it when we engage and interact over dinner. Understanding your child's views. You will have to really just let them lead the conversation instead of blocking them by giving them your views because you're an experienced parent. At the same time, even during bad times, it's very important that we could also share how we feel and what is unacceptable to us by maintaining their self esteem. It goes in lots of situations because we want to be able to cultivate and nourish the relationship we have. At the end of the day, we're modeling this skill to our children. When we model this skill to our children, the children can use this in the next generation, be consciously or subconsciously relating to their future friends, families, this healthy style of communicating.
It says on your webpage that there are 12 roadblocks to healthy communication. Tell me what they are.
Yeah, there are different roadblocks, but let's start first in understanding and defining what is a roadblock. Roadblock is basically a reply to your child, but it blocks the communication flow. The child is going through an emotional distress, and we say solution based messages, or we say indirect messages, put down messages. What are these solution based messages? We advise them, we order them, or we probe and analyze. Indirect messages, such as we divert, we change the topic, or we don't talk about it, just walk away. Put down messages, such as we judge them, we're being sarcastic about the situation. These roadblocks are really unhealthy because after too many roadblocks, it stops the child from communicating with you because they feel judged. They just keep quiet. In the long term, over the years of roadblocking the child, it chips away the self esteem of the child, and they feel that their problem is caused by themselves. They're not good enough because you're smarter than them. And at the same time, their problem is not important because you brush it off. You say, just learn to be positive, or you say, cheer up, or get over it. You complain a lot, or you're too sensitive. So those statements are not helpful when the child is feeling upset.
That's what a roadblock is, but you say that there are 12 roadblocks. Do you know what the 12 roadblocks are?
The roadblocks are ordering, warning, moralizing, advising, persuading with logic or arguing with a child, judging, praising, name calling, analyzing, reassuring, probing, and diverting.
They're all kind of, you gave a few examples of them before when we were talking about roadblocks. Great. Thank you so much. Tell me, Odette, what is active listening and how powerful can it be?
Active listening, as we define it in our P.E.T session, is reflecting back the message of our children. Basically, we're trying to give the child the awareness of what's going through. We label the emotion of the situation. Example is when the child says, I don't want to go to school tomorrow. The parent will look at the child's facial expression, and the parent would say, and decode the message of the child, you look sad to go to school tomorrow. You don't really feel like going to school tomorrow. You're trying to make a guess of what the child is going through. Why is it powerful? Because it helps the child restore the balance. Because when the child is stressed, or when the person, an adult, is going through an emotional stress, the balance of the brain over there is off. The feeling part of the brain is bigger than the thinking part. So our aim is to bring down that feeling part for them to feel centered, for them to have that normal balance. And when they're able to achieve that balance, then they become more aware of the situation, which perhaps, hopefully, they can come up with a solution. That's number one, to bring down that emotional temperature down. The second reason why active listening is powerful is because you're connecting with a child. You're not agreeing, you're paying attention and listening to the child, what the child is trying to say. You're establishing connection. There are many benefits of active listening, and they feel really important when you are being attentive to what they're going through at that very moment.
That makes complete sense, and it's really important, isn't it? And why do you think good conflict resolution skills can help parents in their parenting?
Conflict resolution, how do we define it in P.E.T? It is a way and an effective skill set to apply when you have your need as a parent and the child has also a need. So when both persons have opposing needs or opposing values, you're using this skill set in order to come up with a better solution where both needs are met. You're not fighting over a solution, but you're trying to put together both needs that you can come up with a better solution. Why is it really important? It's important because it deepens the relationship. You get to resolve an issue and you get to know your child better because you're understanding their needs. Second is you maintain the self-esteem because your need is important as my need is important. Second is you're producing a helpful change because when both collaborate with the solution, the other one is motivated to meet your need too. So both of you will work together to create that harmonious relationship. The benefit is really the whole family. It's effective because when you are able to effectively communicate or resolve conflicts, the other child is also watching and they associate the issues of their sibling as well because they can see that, oh, mommy is being fair. Oh, mommy will do that to me eventually when it happens to my case. It creates a harmonious relationship in the family. And at the same time, you as a parent benefited from that way because you become closer to your children and you're building trust and confidence in the relationship. This mindset approach of being able to resolve conflict is about win-win. When the child feels that you're looking after the child's needs also, they see the fairness in you. There are unnecessary stress because your approach is effective and your credibility with your kids and other kids is also there and present.
When you're saying it's a win-win, is that basically what the no-lose conflict resolution concept is, where everybody wins?
Yes, it is when everyone's winning and others can feel that they're able to give honest and helpful feedback to you. So you can also be aware and adjust some ways so that you can have a harmonious relationship as a whole family.
What are some of the common issues that parents often face where they feel like they're losing face or they can't give in?
When they can't give in and losing face, it is about just understanding where did it come from. When parent feels that they're so fixated with their own solution. And second, do you really have to hold on to the solution you want? And is it worth the relationship?
Yeah, and can you have a compromise or is there a
Yes.
different solution or a different path?
Yes.
And what are you actually going to lose by giving a little or changing your goals?
Right. And one of
Yeah.
the strategies in conflict resolution is that modifying yourself. Because a lot of times parents think they're in control, but actually you're not in control.
Yeah, the kids are in control.
And another thing is that parents think that they're raising a child who's going to be the mini me or mini you, but they're not going to be mini you.
Because they have a different personality and a different genetic makeup. They're being brought up in a different time than you with different opportunities and everything. We have to allow for individuality, don't we? We've got to understand that everybody is diverse and we have to be really accepting. And you've got to love your child for who they are.
Yes.
But of course, children respond to boundaries and routine and things like that. Is that a part of your parenting program as well?
Yes, this is in the session we talk about the three factors that affect your line of acceptance. What makes you different from other parents, the environment you live in, and also what makes your child different from the other child because every child is unique. Having that part of the course is really powerful because then they know where they are. And the parents realize that how they were raised by their parents, that doesn't mean that they will do the same to their children because of the times.
Yeah, we're becoming better educated about what parenting really means. I mean, it's the only thing in the world that you don't have to have training for or get a license for. You have to learn how to drive a car, but you don't have to learn how to be a parent.
And that's where we are bringing in the PT part. That's our
which is
dish.
great. It's
Yes.
really, really good. I think that it should almost be mandatory that new parents have to do a course like this. It would be so helpful.
Yeah, because can you imagine, Jules, how many hours of flying hours can a commercial pilot fly an airplane? 1,500 hours. And
in
how
training,
many hours? Yeah, in training. How many hours can you practice driving a car before you get licensed? In Hong Kong, it's 30 hours.
Yeah.
And how to be a yoga instructor? You have just minimum of 200 hours. But
to be a parent, nothing. Yeah,
nothing.
You can just go straight into it.
That's the reason I thought this is really very, very useful program in Hong Kong.
Absolutely. I wish I had something like this when I was starting out at 23, when I had my daughter. It would have been so helpful. I would have loved it. And you mentioned earlier that you tailor make your courses. So you don't have a one size fits all program, but you tailor make it to what individuals need. Is that right?
Yes, we tailor make it. So it depends on the needs of the organization or the parents or the institution. In our experience, we did corporate training, lunch and learn. So we managed to make use of their lunch break and then resume again the following week. Again, we have to recognize there are time constraints for other parents, and they do prefer to use their office area instead of our training venue in Central. Specific needs, we also have all dads. We also have all preschool kids because the issues are common. So then they can have that support from other parents. And we specifically deal with families. We coach also through the PT skills and concepts to individual families. And we also have topic-based issues such as screen time issues, relationships, managing tantrums, using the PT skills and concepts. So we talk to our parents, to our educators, how they want PET to be part of their organization, and we customize this for them.
Oh, that's really cool. That's great. Do you do group sessions or create parenting networks? And how does it help parents if you can create a community?
Basically, PET by itself is a group session. That's why it's different when you see a psychologist or a psychotherapist. Why is this so helpful? Is because it becomes therapeutic as well, because you're trying to share best practices and you feel you're not alone. Honestly, a lot of parents feel supported when they're in class, not because they get the answers from each other, but because they're able to vent out, they're able to share in a very safe environment. What happens is that it becomes their friends, they have specific issues, and even after the course finished, they still get together and maintain our WhatsApp group so they share solutions based on their experience. We also have alumni list. We have events and we try to share our graduates about it. But we do also have families who I recognize doing this for 5 years. There are families who want to keep private, which we also respect because you see, PET is something very personal. We recognize that I'm always open. And when they approach and ask us to do private activities for them, we do this ongoing. We are open for all ways to refresh skills and maintain relationships with them.
Oh, that's lovely. On the one hand, creating this awesome community that people can make use of, but also it can be very individual and personal and private if they want it. So that's really lovely that you really do look after the needs of the individual parents, which is so nice. Why do you think it's important to create space to have a dialogue with your child? Because a lot of parents are so busy sometimes, aren't they, that they don't really necessarily take the time just to sit down and talk. And it's no judgment there from me. I really understand in this hectic, busy lifestyle that we have, we don't often have a dialogue, or we don't necessarily value the opinion or the ideas of a young child when we probably should.
When we create an open space, we create space for a child. We create space because we are open. Our hearts are open. We offer unconditional support and let go of judgments and control. And that establishes a strong connection. Again, in PET, when you have a connection, you can correct unacceptable behavior. It is human nature. You only listen to people you're connected to. Right, Jules?
Yeah,
even with adults.
absolutely. And if you're having that dialogue, then the child can understand more about the choices that they're making and why they're not working for you as a parent.
Yes. And in this dialogue, you can also influence the child with the values that you care about, because then they know why this is what you think about the situation. You can be the springboard of the child when they're having these issues. Vice versa. They will do the same to you. You could also have an open dialogue by modeling it to them.
And you've talked a little bit about understanding our values. And as parents, we really need to know what our values are, don't we? Because if you're in tune with what's important to you, then you can disseminate that information to your child and get them to have a better understanding of what's your priority, whether it
Yes.
be family or giving or caring for others or whatever your values are. I think
Yes.
that's something as adults that we need to think more about, don't we? What our own values are.
Yes, especially because we are the leaders in our families. We are the leaders. We take responsibility in influencing our children. We have two sessions in P.E.T that we discuss values. In session 4, in a no problem area, we ask, what are your values? Are you being effective in communicating your values? Are you being clear that you enjoy being together over dinner? If you don't declare this, the children has no way to understand that you also appreciate it. In session 8, we talked about also another issue on values, is because when you state your values, how do you say it in a manner that you also give respect to the child's values? Because they grow with different values. How can you be respectful with your differences? This way, when you hear them and listen to them, they will also listen to you.
That's so true. I think that's great that you're covering that in your course. That's amazing. Do you
Mm.
also look at time management and how can that help families?
That's really my favorite topic in the course. Why? Because this section is in session 4 when we talk about time management for better relationships. Before PET, Jules, I was focused on activity time. I was focused on just looking after my children because that's my responsibility of a mother. In PET, there are 3 kinds of time. One is alone time. That is when you have control of the environment and what you want to do with your time. It's when you self reflect and energize. Example would be you just read a book or you sleep to energize yourself. One to one is when you and your child are having, an ice cream together. You're bonding, you're connecting. And activity time is there are 2 or more family members doing something that is enjoyable and pleasurable, such as hiking together, swimming together, going out for a movie night together. When you have those understanding of the 3 kinds of time and you meet the need of each time, you have better relationship with the family. Because there are parents, why are they hiding in the toilet when they have to check their phone? Because they never find an alone time.
I bet that's the one that's lacking the most is the alone time and
Yes.
the taking self-care and taking time for your well-being.
Yes. And we don't do that also for children. We try to put them in all sessions: Lego class, swimming class, Chinese class, English class. They're overscheduled. Do they really have alone time as well?
Yeah, see, that's a huge problem, I think, in Hong Kong. As a school teacher, I think that a lot of parents overcommit their kids to activities and they just get run down or exhausted or they can't manage their homework because they're so overtired and they're not getting that alone time. I think that's wonderful that you're giving that kind of advice. Do you have a story of a family that you have helped to make a significant change? Obviously,
Uh,
without mentioning names.
Recently, we have this parent in Macau who used to be very authoritative, who used to do a lot of things like controlling the time of the child. But she thought that her style wasn't working. She attended our PT course. And also, one of the things that she wanted to achieve is that to support her son in his exam. And he really did well with the result. He felt supported because of the mother integrating a lot of PET skills. So that's one. We helped her achieve that goal and at the same time connect with her son.
Oh, that's
And
lovely.
yeah, and I would like to quote. She said, "Thank you for the chance to know PET. The course empowered me to regulate my emotions and gradually learn to communicate with my children. I was most troubled by my eldest son of lack of motivation to study. There was a lack of communication with us, resulting in constant conflict. Today, I'm pleased to share that he gained top marks in DSC science subjects and set a goal for medical school. These positive changes are partly driven by his personal efforts and what I have learned from you in PET class.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah, so you have completely rejuvenated our family.
Oh, that's lovely. What a great recommendation. That's lovely.
Yes. We have another parent who joined 4 years ago, 5 years ago. She was not able to influence her kids to have a harmonious family time because boys are really hitting each other. And she was raised in a household before that you leave your kids when they're having sibling fights. They'll manage, they'll be able to figure it out. But in PET, we teach parents to facilitate. We teach parents to mediate their kids when they're having fights because they cannot look after each other's needs at this age. When she learned that and introduced this concept of mediating and facilitating their kids when they're having sibling fights, she managed to connect again with her boys. And then eventually there are no more fist fights. There are no more blood when they fight.
That's good.
And because of her commitment to practice the skills that she's learning in PET, and to the point that she was reading the workbook page by page, following all the concepts, she felt that it changed her relationship. She was successful in the end in the PET course. And she mentioned that the PET course has brought a sincere and lasting peace to our family while allowing us to be true to our values and expectations, be it in our teens or ours. Because PET is a skilled course, it is rational, practical, and easy to use and share. This is my biggest takeaway from the course. I wish PET could come in a welcome package of the parenting journey.
That's great.
And
Isn't that
she's one of our
wonderful?
best supporters until today.
That's fantastic. Wonderful to think that you can really, you're like the super nanny of PET. It's brilliant. But it's great to know that there's somebody doing that in Hong Kong. Would you make personal visits to the home if needed, or you don't do that?
I've done that a couple of times because I also coach graduates when how they can apply PET. I've done a couple of visits to the PET graduates, and I'm open to the idea.
Because I could imagine you going in like super nanny, like go in and observe the kids fighting and watch what's going on and then kind of organize your program from there. That could be your next step. Odette, what are some of your key parenting tips?
PET has covered a lot of situations through the years, but I would say that I could share foundational tips. Key foundational tips is first, be self-aware as a parent. Two, build connection because there can never be correction without a connection. Talk straight to your children. Be present. Resolve conflict so no one loses and be clear with your values. It's important when you are clear with your values, the children know what the guidelines that you're setting and why.
Lovely. Thank you so much, Odette. Odette, if my listeners want to get in touch with you, if they'd like to learn more about Gordon parenting, how can they do that?
Kindly visit us, connect with us with our website, www.gordonparenting.com. Email us at hello@gordonparenting.com. We also have Facebook page, Gordon Parenting, and Instagram, Gordon_parenting. You could WhatsApp or call us at 9661-9938.
Thank you so much, Odette. Thank you for this lovely podcast. Really, really fantastic, the work that you're doing. It's great to get the word out there through this podcast because I think there'll be a lot of people out there who'll be very interested in connecting with you because it can be a lonely job parenting when you're struggling. I think it could be really, really helpful for people to get in touch with you if they need your support. So thank you so much for sharing about Gordon parenting and the work that you're doing and giving us some great insights into how to be better parents. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Jules. Thank you. And hope to meet you and see you again soon.
Yeah, I think we might have to get you into my school to talk to parents there. I think that would be a great idea.
Thank you.
For my listeners out there, if this is something that you've enjoyed or you know somebody who would benefit from having a few parenting tips and learning about PET and Gordon parenting, please share this podcast with them. And if you could go to iTunes to rate and review Hong Kong Confidential, you'll help get me up the iTunes charts and help get the word out about Odette and Gordon parenting to more listeners. That would be absolutely amazing if you could do that. And if you would like to sponsor me on Patreon, then you can go to patreon.com/Hong Kong Confidential. And for as little as $1 a month, you can sponsor the production of this podcast, and you can hear the secret question answers that Odette is going to give me now, because I'm going to ask you some secret questions, Odette, and only my Patreon supporters can hear these answers over on Patreon. We're going to say goodbye here in the podcast, and I'll see you over in Patreon in a second. Thank you, Odette, for a wonderful interview. See you later.
Thank you.
Hi, Confidants. I want to tell you about my Patreon page. I've joined Patreon in the hope of getting sponsorship for my Hong Kong Confidential podcast. Patreon is a great way for my listeners to get on board and sponsor me with monthly payments, and that goes towards my production costs and rewards for my members. If you're interested in checking out my Patreon page, please go to patreon.com and search up Jules Hannaford or Hong Kong Confidential. I would really appreciate you visiting my page. So that brings us to the end of another Hong Kong Confidential podcast. I'm Jules Hannaford. Thanks for joining me, and I hope you'll be with me again next week. If you enjoyed today's podcast, please can you go to iTunes to rate and review it. I would really appreciate your feedback. You can email me at jules@hongkongconfidential.net, and you can find me on Facebook and Instagram at Hong Kong Confidential. If you'd like to hit me up on Twitter, it's at Jules Hannaford. I would love to hear from you.
Love this podcast? Support it and sponsor today. Simply head to AuscastNetwork.com for details.